I want you to speak a bit about how your speech was before you found us, before you found WSSA. Okay, so I want you to speak about your speech, if you about your stutter, if you used to stutter a lot in all conversations, on only in some specific moments. If you did stutter more in the form of blogs or repeats, if you have tried other speech, yeah, if you have gone to SLPs or anything in the past or not, so just to give me an overview of how your speech was in the past.
I must say at the beginning, like at the I guess I started stuttering at the age of 3. I
Hmm.
am not sure about the proper like the exact time, but I guess it was at the age of 3. And I used to repeat words. Like at that time, I was not very much aware about the problem, so I just repeated words.
Okay.
And at that time, I thought it will gradually fade away. Like as I was child, I was not that much into myself.
Hmm.
But as time went, I discovered that I became very shy. Like I was not that person who could start a conversation or who could go by himself and show enough courage to speak in front of anyone.
Hmm.
So, I was that person who could not randomly thought that I can speak here. So I was a bit hesitating at that time. At that time, I came to realize that I am blocking at words. Like if I am planning something that I want to say this thing to this person, I would become so nervous without any reason. I don't know the reason till now. Like why did I get that nervous? But I used to block at that words and at the first word especially. And I
Hmm.
would say it was totally situational. Like sometimes I have handled many events and like big events yeah, so at that time, I have done many things which proved that I am fluent. But there were situations where I had bad incidents, like in front of presentations or in front of public speaking. So it was the time when I was not able to understand my issue. And that when I realized that I have to do something about it, and I came to realize about Lee Lovett's book, and I read the whole book, and I realized the actual science and the mindset behind all this. And I then realized that it can be cured in multiple ways. There are multiple steps towards the curement or towards the cure. So I followed this, and here I am at WSSA, which has benefited me a lot.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. This means that if you have been able to avoid appearing speech disabled for at least a month, it means that you know how to do it. You know how to use a crutch, you know how to use your speech plan, and you can speak fluently with everyone. You just need to use those tools, right? If you have been able to do it for a month, you can do it for the rest of your life. You know how to use those tools. But don't forget, it is up to you if you continue using them or not. So by this, I'm saying you can have a relapse, but you have the control. If you face for example, a stressful conversation, a stressful situation, and you don't use the tools, you may appear speech disabled, but it is because you made the decision to do it. But this doesn't mean that you have to continue using these tools for the rest of your life. I mean, now you have completed the first stage, which is to become a PWSS. You are now a PWSS because you know how to use those tools. But this doesn't mean that you do not have anxiety, that you do not have fears. You do still feel those fears, right? Well, now the next step that you've got to take is to work on that, to attack the fears, to get rid of the fears, the anxiety, until they disappear. Until then, until you learn to love to speak everywhere, until you enjoy speaking to strangers, authority figures, a large group of people, everywhere. This is your goal now. Eliminate the fears and learn to love to speak everywhere. So how are you going to be able to do this? Well, now I'm going to explain you the things you've got to do. So the first thing is to admit that you are a PWSS. By this, you just admit, hey, I have been able to avoid all bad incidents for a month, so I can continue doing it for the rest of my life. Am I done? Am I finished? Not even close. But I have been able to get this far. Yes, you do. As I said, yes, you do still have fears, you still have anxiety in some situations. I don't know if you have had the chance to read any of these stories on the app.
Yeah, I have read many of them, and one of them were yours also.
Really?
I
Okay,
just love all the stories.
fantastic. Well, now it's the time that you write your own story. But just think, this can also be a huge opportunity to help other people.
I think it cleared all my doubts. Like um, I was very unsure about whether to consider myself or not, but finally I can think like it is up to me. If I keep my mind at that state, yes, I have achieved it, then it's all right. I can move ahead. If I
That's the point.
block at the beginning only that I have not done anything, I am behind, then I will never move ahead. So I think it's
There you
the
go.
step forward that I need to take.
That's it. Because just like I mentioned before, this new stage of the program is all about defeating the fears. So if you aren't sure, if you feel insecure about if you're still a PWS or not, those fears are not going to allow you to move on. So the first step is to get rid of those fears. The book Speech Anxiety to Public Speaking, it is a book that Lee wrote a few years ago, and this book is aimed at people who don't stutter, but who feel anxiety in some speaking, like in some if they have to give a talk in front of a large audience, or if they have to talk to their boss, or in any other kind of situation. So this book is aimed at those people who are fluent but who feel speech anxiety, and obviously as well to PWSS because they are fluent and they feel speech anxiety. In this book, you're going to find that you know most of the things because Lee explains again the auto suggestions, all and the speech tools, so you can skim through all that part like fast. But you're also going to find some new things that you did not know, and that they are going to help you overcome the fears, expand your comfort zones, and learn to love to speak. Okay. So those are the tips that are going to help you a lot. Also, the part of the auto suggestions and the self hypnosis is fantastic. You're going to find, for example, a list of affirmations that are more aimed at speech anxiety, at the fears, and not so much on if I block on a word. No, because now you know how to avoid that, how to overcome those. So now it's all about speech anxiety, about fears. It involves a lot of to have always the control of your thoughts. Don't allow the fears to get inside your mind, your thoughts. Okay? It's all about that. Always think, I am a PWSS. I no longer stutter. Uh, if you feel a fear of speaking on the phone, Just think, hey, it makes no sense. I am a PWSS. I know how to use my speech plan. These fears make no sense. And how are you going to get get rid of those fears and learn to love to speak everywhere? By speaking everywhere. But you've got to do it slowly. You've got to go one step at a time. This is like if you want to learn to swim, you're not going to jump into the sea. No, you first immerse a toe, then a foot, then up to here, then up to here, then up to here, then up to here, until you're up to here. Let's suppose that you feel fine speaking to groups of two people. But if it's more than that, start to feel some degree of anxiety. So, for example, speaking to three people or four people, you still you feel a bit of anxiety, but you have the control of it. You control everything. You control the conversation, your anxiety. You feel a bit uncomfortable, but it's fine. So I'm going to ask you to speak in those conversations as much as you can. Always have your speech under control. By this, I mean use your speech plan very clearly, stops, the short increments, speaking slowly, all of those things. Okay? So that you're able to speak just fine, fluently, doing everything well. And if you do this over and over, um, you're going to get to a point where you feel just as comfortable speaking to one, to two, three people, or four. You have again expanded your comfort zones from here to here. This is how you're going to eliminate the fears and learn to love to speak. It is also very important that every time you succeed, you say, hey, I did a good job. All right, good job. Because if you face that same speaking conversation in a few days, just remember, hey, on Tuesday, I faced this same situation and I did well. I can do it again. So just see that this new states, the mind is very important, your thoughts, to reject the fears. You've got to give us some time. I'm not going to say do it now, no, in a few months, but you have to give a speech at SAM. Why? Because it's a fantastic way to expand your comfort zones. But also because it over there, you're going to see, you're going to prove to yourself that you can speak fluently in front of a large group of people. Also, it is going to be maybe the first time that people say, hey, your speech is fantastic. You speak so well. Or all these things that I'm sure you have heard that people say to the speakers at SAM. And I've got to say, it feels great. It feels great. And it's going to help you a lot on your journey to learning to love to speak.
Yeah, it was very clear. Like my mind is just decluttering from all the doubts and issues that I was
Okay.
having. Like
Awesome.
it's good to hear. I am just listening and it's giving me enough confidence to do
That's
all
good.
these things.
So there you are. So you're going to be giving a SAM talk on March 14th. My advice is to get to feel more comfortable speaking at SAM and the speech club meetings. I think it's going to help you a lot to go there and start speaking over there, asking some questions. Uh, Going back to the idea of expanding your comfort zones, you can start by, for example, if you join to the speech club of this week, just make a small comment like, "Hey, I really enjoyed your talk." So you just said a few words, but you did it using your speech plan very clearly. And this is the first step. So you have expanded your comfort zones from this bit to this bit. Then on the next week, you can you can make a longer comment or ask any of your doubts. So you expand it to here, 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 until you feel very comfortable speaking at Sam, and it's going to be a lot easier for you to give your Sam talk. Continue doing the things you've been doing all this time. Continue using your speech plan, your crutches, reading aloud, auto suggestions. Do this every day. Until when? Till you no longer have to do it. By this, I mean until the fears have disappeared. Until you no longer need to use a crutch to say any word. Until you no longer think about your words. Until you no longer fear speaking. You can always make some changes in your affirmations so that they are not focused on your speech, but you can focus them on other things, other aspects of yourself that you want to change or improve. They can have to do with, I don't know, anger, anxiety, insomnia, boredom, jealousy, I don't know. But you can always become an improved version of yourself. Keep on improving yourself even more.
Yeah, Javier, it was totally clear. I have a doubt.
Go
I
ahead.
guess this is the single doubt that is
Okay,
left in my mind. So I have considered myself as PWSS, and it's a proud thing for me.
good.
And suppose if I have a bad incident after becoming a PWSS, what should be my approach towards that incident? Like,
Now,
or should I consider?
let's imagine that you are a professional basketball, basketball player, and you miss a shot. This doesn't mean that you are no longer a professional basketball, basketball player, right? Just that you missed or you shot, or so. In this case, it's that you decided not to use the tools. Does this mean that you are no longer a PWSS? No. Actually, you can learn a lot of that mistake so that it never happens again. Okay. So I've got to say that there are people that have that this has occurred, and it's okay. Hey, you've got to learn. You've got to view that mistake from a constructive point of view to learn about it and ask yourself these questions. Okay, why did I have this bad incident? Well, it is true that for the last month I stopped doing the mind training, or I forgot to use my speech plan, or both. Okay, so now to avoid this from happening again, got to do get back on track, do the mind training every day, use my speech plan very clearly, and other things. If you identify other things that you were doing wrong, you'll see that in a day you are back on track. But just continue working on your speech just like you have been doing. Don't get to a point where you feel like, okay, my speech is fine. Sometimes I have a fear word, but now I can chill and stop working on my speech. Then it's gonna be it is a fact that sooner, now you're going to have a bad incident. If you say, okay, now I'm fine, don't do that. Keep working just like you have been doing until the end. If not, it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think your analogies are really great. I love them.
Thank you.
It's cleared in my mind now, like what I need to do further.
Mm.
So thanks a lot for that. I I am just totally cleared my mind, like what to do next. And I
Awesome.
hope that I will soon conquer my fears of
For sure.
all those regarding the speech. And I am very excited to give my SAM talk